is Shalini here. I'm going to take up the first session regarding economics. So, as per the second PU syllabus, the first chapter of economics is Introduction to Microeconomics. Before we get into the microeconomics, let us understand what is economics. Introduction to economics. This we might have studied in the first PUC, but it is just like a bridge course of understanding what is economics. Economics is the word which is derived from a Greek word which is of two words. One is okos and nomos. The English meaning of okos is household. Nomos is management. The household management is satisfying the needs or wants of family members with limited resources. Limited resources. So the overall meaning of economics is satisfying the needs and the wants of our family members with a limited resources. When we talk about a limited resources which is available in scare, it is a scare resources. For example, if we have 500 rupees, one person earned 500 rupees in a family, how the family members are going to utilize this 500 and how they are going to manage by satisfying their needs and wants. This is the overall meaning of economics, and these two words are given by Aristotle. Hope it is clear. Economics is the word which is derived from Greek word. One is okos and nomos. It is household management. A household is consisting of a family members. Management is nothing but the managing of the resources what we have. It can be a limited resources which is scarce in nature, which is not available in huge. Means satisfying the needs. We need to satisfy our wants and needs with our limited resources. This is the overall meaning of our economics. Now we will understand, after understanding economics, let us understand the two important branches of economics is micro and macro. The first chapter, which is consisting only about the micro economics. So let us understand the meaning of micro and macro. Micro is small or tiny. Why we have to talk about small or tiny things? To understand the macro concepts. So when we understand individual parts of the economy, it is easy for us to understand a bigger concept, that is macro concept. So here the meaning of macro is large or big. Let us understand this with an example. X, Y and Z. We have three people. Each one is having their own income. X is having 1000 rupees income, Y is having 2000 rupees income, and Z is having 3000 income. What will be the total of this is 6000. So let us understand what is micro and what is macro with an example. Understanding only about X is micro. Understanding or studying only about Y is micro. Understanding only about Z is micro. Then what is macro? Macro is nothing but understanding XYZ with a combination of three concepts together is micro. Hope it is clear with an example. Now we will move on to the concept of micro. So we are talking about introduction to microeconomics. As I've already discussed what is microeconomics, it is nothing but concerned on a specific concept. A specific concept. We are studying only on an individual part of the economy. Individual part of the economy. For example, employment. Studying on an employment of one particular industry. Of a particular industry. It is not an aggregate, it is not the total of the industries which is in our economy. We are talking only about one particular industry. For example, A. Only about A industry we are talking about the employment, or we are understanding how many people are working in that particular industry, or how many vacancies are there in that particular industry. So concerned to my study is concerned only to one particular industry is your microeconomics. So after understanding the meaning and study of microeconomics, we are understanding how this microeconomics will flow. What is the activity of an microeconomics? So as per the study, microeconomics is a circular flow of economic activities. Circular flow of economic activity. What is the circular flow of economic activity? Circular flow is nothing but where it goes, it comes back to the same origin. That is circular flow. So what is the circular flow is involved with? It is involved with the flow of goods and services. So how this goods and services are related with the circular flow? Here when we talk about the flow of goods, first it starts with the household to firm. It can be the resources what we get, and it gets moved on to the firm. And after the firm, it will go back to the household in the form of consumption. Firm to household. This is what the circular flow of economic activity, what we study in microeconomics on a specified or on a concerned particular industry. This is what analysis we going to do about microeconomics. Okay, after the flow of goods, what happens to the goods and services? Or what is determined with the goods and services? What is determined with the goods and services? It is determined with price. So anything we buy need to be with price. So the concept of microeconomics is also called as price theory, which is very, very important. It is price theory. So the other name of microeconomics, or when you are dealing with anything related to goods and services, you can say it is a theory of price. You are going to determine the price for goods and services. After we understand the other name of microeconomics, there is one more name for the microeconomics, that is slicing method. What is slicing method? Slicing method is nothing but, for example, when you go to a bakery, you order 1 pound of bread, a pound of bread. How we are going to consume it? By slicing it. The same way, if you are understanding the microeconomics, you need to understand in a slicing way. That is why the other name of microeconomics is known as slicing method. In this, you are understanding only a one part. Second, after understanding the first part, you go to a second part, then you move on to the third, fourth, fifth, but you study in a individual concepts. This is a sliding method, slicing method. The slicing method is nothing but the other name of microeconomics is slicing method, where you are going to study on each and every individual part in depth to understand what exactly the situation or analysis you are going to do on one particular part. So when you want to analyze, when you want to know what is microanalysis, there is an important tool you use to analyze the situation, or you try to understand the study on what you are going to do. For example, microanalysis is done on an important tool. What is that tool? It can also be called as an instrument. When you use some instrument, it can easily get measured. For example, when you want to take or buy anything, you normally ask in a measured way. For example, half liter milk, 1 pound of bread. This is how we say. The same way, if you want to analyze the micro, there is an instrument or a tool to measure it. That is called marginal analysis. It is marginal analysis. What is this marginal analysis? It is a tool or instrument to understand the individual units in a easy way or in a depth way. In this, there are few divisions which has been made to make our study even more easier. One is law of diminishing marginal unit. One more is law of equimarginal unit. And the last one, consumer surplus. And there are many other methods or analysis you can go on. These are the most important, which is got derived from the marginal analysis to understand what is the study we are going to do on. The first one is law of diminishing marginal utility, law of equimarginal utility, and the last one is consumer surplus. Not only this, there are some other methods also where you can start analyzing the things. Now, after understanding the microanalysis, analyzing is nothing but it is a study. It is a study. So, during the study, you can also know what is the problems, what are the problems faced by individual, or it can be a household, it can be a factory, it can be consumer, it can be a producer. Individually, you try to understand about their problems. That is also involved in this micro analysis. Not only about the positive, but also about the negative. You try to come out with the problems. For that problems, there can also be a solution. That is what is your micro analysis is going to do. After understanding the microeconomics meaning, or it can be the introduction of it. Let's move on to the features of microeconomics. What is the meaning of features? Features are the characteristics or the nature of the subject what you are going to study. It can be the nature, it can be the characteristics, of microeconomics. The first characteristic or the nature or the feature of microeconomics is study on individual units. As we have already discussed, what is individual units? It's nothing but studying on a particular or a specified unit of the economy. It can be a producer alone. Producer alone we are going to study, or it can be only on a consumer, or it can be only on saving. So your study is particularly or concerned only towards one particular concept, that is a unit what you are going to study is on producer alone, consumer alone, or on saving. That is called a study on individual units. The very easy thing is when you understand the meaning of microeconomics, few keywords of meaning in the microeconomics can become your characteristics, can become your nature, or can become your features of it. So that is the best way how you can remember. If you remember the meaning of it, it is easy for you to draw the features of it. And the second one is analyzing the allocation of resources. Allocation of resources. What is allocation of resources? What is allocation of resources? Resources are, it can be labor, it can be capital, it can be labor, capital, or it can be any resources whatever you have. The major thing what I have taken is labor and capital. How you are allocating these two into a proper way to get a efficiency from it. Hope you understood. Analyzing the allocation of resources is nothing but how you are placing the labors. It can be a skilled labors. Of course, it should be a skilled labors. How you are putting the skilled labors into the place so that you can get a better efficiency from that particular work. I'll repeat it once again. The resources, it can be the labor or it can be capital. For example, you have 50,000 rupees. So this 50,000 rupees should be utilized or should be allocated in a proper way. What are you supposed to do? You can invest. You can invest, or you can, if you are efficiently convert this 50,000 into 1 lakh, there are many ways how you can make it. The first one which comes to anybody's mind is investment. Or it can be education where you are funding your amount. So there are so many other ways, but let us take an example of investment. When we talk about an investment, you need to be very careful where you are investing and on which venture you are investing, so that your 50,000 will be safe and it will be efficiently utilized, so that you can see after few years the 50,000 is get converted into 1 lakh. So this is what the one of the feature of your microeconomics. And the next one is focus on market behavior. You may have a question. Why should we have this as our feature? Market behavior is nothing but understanding the study. What is your market? Because market is consisting of your stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? What is stakeholders? Stakeholders are consisting of suppliers, one who supplies the raw materials to you. You need to understand the behavior of it. You need to understand what is producer, or it can be a buyer, seller, and government behavior, or it can be a competitor's behavior. When you make a depth study on each and every content in depth, that gives you a good knowledge in understanding the market, which makes you to produce or to be in a market on a good way. So this is what is your microeconomics, one of the feature of it. Hope it is clear. Now we'll move on to the next feature of it. The next one is analysis, economic efficiency. What is this economic efficiency? Economics is nothing but understanding the overall thing. But when we are talking about the microeconomics, why this economic efficiency had come? It has come how we are allocating the different resources into a better way so that it gives only the best for the investor. That is the meaning of economic efficiency. How efficient you are in giving me the things back, in what way I have given it to you. The next one is product price determination. As I've already told you, microeconomics, the other name of microeconomics is price theory. So why the price has come? Because it is a circular flow of economic activity. Why there is a circular flow? From household, it moves on to the firm. From household, it moves to the firm. And after the firm make it into a finished goods, again it moves back to the household. So what is determined there? It is the goods and services. What we need to give in return is the price. So what is the involvement? What is the expense the product is got, and how I am going to fix the price for my product? That is product price determination. The next one is the next one, I'll write on to the top. The next one is determination of factor pricing. Okay. So the determination of factor pricing is nothing but the factor of the production. The factor of production. What are the factors for production? Factors of production. It means while producing any product, who all are involved. It can be land, organization, it can be labor and capital. So these are the factors of production, which is very, very essential when you make any product. or after making the product, obviously we need to give a pricing for every product. So what we are going to get from the or give for the land, it is rent. What are we going to give or get from the organization is profit. Why it is profit? Any organization or business setup with a view or with an intention to make only profit. What is labor? What are we going to give or get is wages. And the last one is capital with interest. So when we are doing all these activities of factors of production, we are ultimately pricing the product. On what basis we can price the product? After taking away all our expenses, we determine the price for the product. The next one is partial equilibrium analysis. Equilibrium analysis. What is partial? What is equilibrium? What is analysis? Let us understand in a 3 different words. Partial, we know it is half. It is not completely, it is only half. What is equilibrium? When two things are meeting, that point is known as equilibrium. That is equal. The next, analysis is a study on whatever you take up. So why we have got this partial equilibrium analysis? We know that economics is based on the equilibrium, that is with demand and supply. So when we know that demand and supply is meeting, that is the point which is called as equilibrium. But here, either it can be one point which will be constant, the other things which will be constant, only one thing will be moving, will be flexible. And that is also known as ceteris paribus. It's not a name of any author or economist. It is the phrase of a Latin phrase, means other things remaining constant, only one thing will be reacting. If, for example, if you are taking demand, when you are concentrating only on demand, the other things of related to demand will be constant, will not have any movement. So how the demand will fluctuate? It fluctuates on the price. If the price is more, demand will be less. If the price of the product is less, then the demand will go up. So here, this is the only concept we are taking related to demand. All the other things are standing constant. That is the meaning of ceteris paribus. It's not a name of any it can be an author, or it can be an economist, or it can be anything. It is not the name. It is a Latin phrase. Hope it is clear. Now, the next one is economic welfare. That is also one of the feature of microeconomics, economic welfare. What is welfare? Welfare is nothing but doing good to others, good for others. Why does good for others had come? Because there is a circular flow economic activity which we studied in the introduction of microeconomics. There is a good for the other person by the main concept. For example, producer and consumer. You may have a question now, how this can be a good for other? For example, here you can also take government. It's very easy to understand. the producer, consumer, and government. So this is a circular flow of activity. Why I have taken producer? Because he is the person, one who produces the product. The product produced by him, it will be a quality product, standard product. So this products will get moved or will be moved to consumer. So is he not doing good for the consumer? Of course, it is economic welfare. I am taking care about the other person is welfare. So the producer, whatever he is producing the standard and quality product to the consumer. So the consumer will always have a faith on the producer. So what welfare the government will do to the producer or to the consumer? The government will provide some subsidies to the producer so that it is an encouragement for the producer to produce more good quality with a less price, and to the consumer, like he can purchase those products anywhere. It is very easily accessible. So the next, hope it is clear. The next one is using use of slicing method. In the beginning of the class itself, I told microeconomics is the other word of microeconomics is slicing method. Slicing method is nothing but slicing or parting each and every unit and understanding that unit in a depth way is slicing method. I gave an example of bread also. Like you cannot have 1 pound of bread without slicing. You cannot consume it. You can consume only after slicing. The same way, to study on one particular topic, you need to slice it out. You need to make a part of it. The last one is construction of model. Construction model. Why this construction model? Don't think model is nothing but something different. It is about how we are constructing our own model. For example, when you are understanding, I'll give you a best example. That is, when you are making a construction of your house, how you are going to do, how cautious you will be when you are constructing. You want a house to be very beautiful. It should be beautiful as well. The construction of the model or the basement should be also strong. If it is strong, how many ever stores building you will build, it will never affect the basement or to the building. The same way, how good you are in understanding the individual topics, that will help you in understanding the microeconomics. If you are not good in understanding the single models or the individual models of the microeconomics, it will be very difficult to understand when it comes to a huge. This example is when you have a college, internals will be going on. If you will study for the internals, your burden on the revision will become less when it comes to an examination. If you don't attend the internals on a regular basis, like monthly internals, or it can be quarterly internals, if you are not attending, or if you are not focusing on your studies, it will be a burden for your examination. So in the last moment, you cannot rush with the topic. The same way, the construction model should be very good. You should have a good hold on the topic what you are talking. So this is the last feature of our microeconomics. Hope all the features of it is clear. Now we'll move on to the last content of today's session, that is assumption. So the last concept of today's session is assumption. Okay, before getting into the assumptions of microeconomics, let us understand the meaning of assumption. What is assumption? I assume that he may get a first rank. He may, it may. So it is not in a reality, but I am assuming that it may happen. That is assumption. The first assumption of microeconomics is rationality. What is rational? We all have studied from the beginning of our schools. What is rational? Rational is nothing but how perfect you are in doing the things. So here it is coming under assumption. That means I assume that microeconomics is in rational way. It is perfect in what it is doing. This is the assumption what I have got on microeconomics. The second one is free flow of information. So I assume that there is a free flow of information. There is no hiding. There is no hindrances. There is no problem in providing the information on what I am doing. That is only an assumption what I have on the subject or on the study what I am going to do. For example, a producer giving the complete information on what he is doing to the consumer without hiding, being very transparent in what he is doing. So that is free flow of information. Hope it is clear. And the next one is divisibility. Okay. What is divisibility? Divisibility is nothing but dividing the entire concept or making a part of it. Why we will be making a part is to understand the things in a better way. That is divisibility. And the next one is full employment. This is also a assumption what I have on the concept. Full employment and laissez-free. What is full employment and laissez-free? So what is full employment and laissez-free? Let us understand what is full employment. Full employment, it is just an assumption. If I do this, there will be a full employment where I can provide an employment to all the people. It is just an assumption because we don't have that skilled labors in our country. There are, we may have a good capital, but we may not have people who are very much skilled in that particular work. What is laissez-free? Laissez-free is nothing but movement of the people, movement of the capital, movement of the raw materials, the movement from one place to another place without any problem, without any problem, where it goes on very smoothly. That is also an assumption what I have on the microeconomics. The next one is ceteris paribus. What is ceteris paribus? We have already discussed it. Ceteris paribus is a Latin phrase. It is not the name of the author or any economist. It is a Latin phrase. What does it mean? What is the meaning of Latin phrase or the Latin sentence what they have given? It means other things remaining constant. What is other things remaining constant? Other things remaining constant. When I am talking, others are quiet, others are constant. They are only listening. Only after my session, there is an interaction between teacher and a student. That is the meaning. Other things remaining constant. Already I explained this. Let me explain once again. Demand and supply and um, uh, all the other contents of the particular thing will be constant when you are talking only about demand. Related to demand, all the other things will be constant when you are taking into consideration about the demand. Here the demand will be on the price. When the price moves up and down, demand also goes increased or decreased. The last one of this assumption is perfect mobility. Okay, let me write onto the top. Perfect mobility of resources. What is mobility? Mobility is nothing but you have a mobile phone. Can you carry it from one place to another place? Of course, you can carry it from one place to another place. That is called mobility. Mobility which you can easily carry from one place to another place. What are you carrying here? It is your resources. What are the resources you have? It can be a capital. It is labor. These are the two resources, or it can be even the raw materials. It is easy for you to move it from one place to another place. Say for example, from Chennai, if you are getting a cotton or anything related to raw materials, if you are getting, with the help of your capital or labor, you are converting it into a finished product. So where are you getting it from? It is from Chennai, or it is from Andhra, or it can be from any South Indian places. Whatever they are famous in, the raw materials can be moved from one place to another place. It is also one of the assumption of microeconomics. This is today's concept, the introduction of economics, introduction to microeconomics, understanding the features of microeconomics, and finally we understood what are the assumptions of microeconomics. The today's session will get over with this, and we'll move on to the next with the next session. Thank you so much.